You're listening to the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast with your hosts, Paul Stevenson, David Warren, and Greg Campbell. Let's see what's going on in the world of real estate today.
Back. That was nice of them to stop by. We're just waiting for Kevin to return to the room. We're all here waiting. Thank you to everyone tuning in. And 2023 has been a very interesting year of real estate, I would say. Didn't go the way any of us probably thought it was going to go, but I think in the last 3 years, we saw so many people come into the industry that I don't want to say shouldn't be in the industry, but that saw it as like a quick kind of side hustle. Yeah. Like, oh, I'll do this. I'm not home anyways. And I think even on the mortgage side, we're starting to see, and I know I've talked to Greg about this, that those people are slowly, like they might have had 5-10 transactions in the first year. You know, you put a sign on the line, it's sold in a week. But now that it actually, you know, we're back into the market and it's a bit more consistent, especially with this year, with the transactions being down like 30%. I think we're seeing a lot of those people that came into the market over the last few years slowly go back into the industries they were in. Have you guys seen or have you heard of like anyone? I know you guys both have growing teams, so have you seen a lot of part-time agents come into the market in the last couple of years, or what have you seen? Have you dealt with any maybe on a transaction that didn't know what they were doing or were a bit wet behind the ears?
So it's funny. We have a couple part-time agents on our team actually, which is an interesting dichotomy, right? And I do think that sometimes in this industry, it's best to go all in. I imagine you guys on the mortgage side. I just kind of jumped in here, so I imagine you guys on the mortgage side have a little bit of that in your office as well. But those that we did hire that are part-time are already professionals, like so, and they're already involved in real estate. So like one of our agents owns 4 or 5 rental properties. He's done many transactions on the personal side, and his volume is about 20 deals a year, and he's really confident working with first-time home buyers and able to get condos and investment properties. So he's able to add strategic advice even in a part-time capacity. And then our other one also too, he's a seasoned investor, he's done buys and sells himself, and I think he comes at it with good intentions as well. It's that thought of, you know, it's difficult to think, you know, you're getting into a self-employed, commission-based industry, you know, and you have another stable job, right? So it's that transition period. I think that's critical. Yeah. I made the move a little bit quicker, but you know, sometimes people take different paths to that journey, right?
Full time.
I was still,
yeah, kind of part time on a team, and then
I started July 2018. I was in the government before, and it got phoenixed a couple times. That was the raison d'etre to sort of get into real estate. We were already involved in real estate, you know, as investors and stuff. So we said, you know what, I think, you know, now's the time. My wife and I sat and thought, you know, if we're not getting paid anyway at work, we might as well go to something else. So I was fortunate before working from home with school, I was able to sort of do a part-time arrangement with my government job. And then, you know, by February of 2019, I was kind of hashtag all in and retired, you know, recently from the government. So yeah, retiree. And so it took me a little, you know, I enjoyed having that little buffer zone, but it didn't take long to realize that this was going to be the career for me. And, you know, the sooner I could go all in, the better it would be for me long term.
I think to your kind of comment question, Paul, was of people seeing the pandemic of being, you know, deal transactions flying and that it's going to be easy money, and you know, and then being part-time where they, you know, thought they're, you know, hot shit because they close a couple of transactions, but really, like anyone to your point could put a sign on the lawn and it sells immediately. Now they're having to realize that it takes more than that to close it, to get business, maintain business, work relationships, your client. It's not as easy as they thought it was, and they're falling off immediately. And you know, on the mortgage side, I know you've seen it as well, Paul. Like, I mean, I think, you know, from a license renewal standpoint, that's up in March. It'll be on the mortgage side. It'll be interesting to see the numbers that drop off. It was a 30% increase over the pandemic of mortgage agents that were licensed with FSRA as an overall, and FSRA is the Ontario body, so I imagine every province is the same. So I imagine that complete fall off, even more so, will be this March. But
we have like 90,000 realtors in Ontario, and there's almost 5,000, 4,500 in Ottawa in our board here. Yeah. So it's so I think it's 90,000 total, because we just did this Ontario wellness program or whatever. So they talked about the buying power of, you know, 90,000 people joining a group plan kind of thing is significant, right? But it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Now we know a lot of them don't practice or sell real estate. They have licenses for other reasons, but still that's a pretty big number of people that are attempting anyway to transact.
Stop. I think half of them haven't done a transaction in like 6 months or something like that. So,
one half deal, something like that.
so
You guys must find it pretty damn difficult dealing with agents. I'm sure you do, on whether it's a rental or on a purchase or a sell, when the agent hasn't done a deal all year,
So,
basically,
I mean,
to try and negotiate with them, or try and
explain to them.
explain a condition.
it depends. Sometimes you have to walk them through certain things, but at the same time, like, you can kind of abuse it in a way, because if it's a newer agent that doesn't really know what they're doing, you can really take advantage of that.
Yeah.
For the benefit of your client.
Yeah.
To a certain extent, but certain things are going to get relatively annoying when they don't know basic conditions, or things that there was just no conditions being put in for deals like during the pandemic for most properties. So now people are like, oh, what does this condition mean?
Yeah.
Like, how long do I have to be able to do this, right? So it makes it a little bit more difficult and frustrating for clients on both sides of the equation, if one of the agents is part-time and just has a very small knowledge base.
If you're like a boxer, you got to carry them to the 7th round. But I find like sometimes it's a teaching moment, right? Like, everyone did their first deal with somebody, right? So I try it, again.
You're taking advantage of it, or you're winning that negotiation every time.
I'm trying to, maybe the winning questions, but I'm helping them with the clauses. I'm walking them through it. I like to think that I'm trying to be more patient in all facets of my life, so and including dealing with others. So that is, I am trying to be more patient with my fellow realtor colleagues.
I completely, people forget that everyone in every fast life started, especially in real estate, everyone started from 0 deals. So somebody that's doing hundreds of deals or hundreds of millions in volume as a mortgage agent, anything like that, you all started from 0. So you have to have patience, understanding that other people are going to be newer in the industry and that they're going to build up their volume. And it's just a matter of whether they're putting the effort in, or whether they're just hoping and thinking that this is going to be easy money. And the easy money people are like, get the hell out of here, go find something else to do. But the others that are actually putting a vested interest in the industry,
someone who's putting good effort
let's
in,
go.
And I find sometimes they're not better, but they're just out of school. They've got all the clauses are tight and fitted. Sometimes they have more time as well to put the energy, effort into these offers. They're talking to their, if they're doing it right, they're probably talking to their broker or their mentor or their team leader. So sometimes these offers come in, you wouldn't be able to tell this is someone's first offer, because it's maybe so well vetted by all these other professionals that have looked over the shoulder that this thing comes in really hot. Oh, it's your first deal. Come on, that was great. You rocked it, right? So it depends. I mean, I think we're talking about 2 different types of agents, right? Those that think it's kind of easy money, but then there's the people that are coming into it that are newer, that are looking to forge genuine, long-lasting relationships in real estate, and sometimes you can just feed off that enthusiasm that, of a newbie, for example, right? So it's nice.
I'll play off myself as devil's advocate, and to say that I preface that question. I asked the question, but on the flip side, there are people, as you said, that have wanted to maybe get into real estate for many years and never really had the opportunity, or never saw an opening where how am I ever going to leave this job to start with 100% commission role? So this actually gave them the runway to do it part-time, learn the industry, and maybe now are actually full-time agents. And I know even I spent multiple years doing recruitment and mentorship and actually talking to new agents who are part-time. And some of them just have that X factor. They, you see them, you're you might be an engineer or a Xerox salesperson or something, but you 100% will be successful. You just need to understand.
Be good at whatever they do. Those people want to be good at whatever they do, right?
Yeah, they have an infectious energy. You want to be around them. You want to work with them. Clients are going to want to work with them. It's just a matter of sharpening their sword and getting them in the game. So I do think that there is those opportunities. And even myself, I came from a banking background, and I was lucky to have kind of a 3-month runway where they were continuing to pay me a salary where I could learn the business and so on. But then you're jumping off a cliff, and, luckily you have people around you that support you, and you have mentors, and you learn the business. But not everyone has that ability. You kind of have to find a creative way. And COVID provided that opportunity for a lot of people where they could look at, maybe it wasn't real estate, maybe it was sewing or friggin', illustration or something. But
A lot of sewers.
a lot of needlepoint and knitting.
Crochet.
Huge boom. But I mean, I think people looked at, okay, I'm sitting at home, I have nothing to do. What do I actually want to do? What's like something enjoyable that I could get into? And I think real estate was probably, for some people, it's just like a hobby, like, oh, I'll do this and see if it works. And other people, like you said, it kind of opened that door to a new career, and they actually
we chatted off the hop, like, on our first part of the segment about how, like, in Canada, home ownership is, was very attainable for a long time, and it is this dream that we have in Canada, owning real estate. I found a lot of people, just like general clients of mine or just people in the world, they're so invested in knowledgeable in real estate. They message me when their neighbor's house goes up for sale. They want to know what things are selling for. They want to be active in the market. Because, again, it's an investment that we all, a lot of us share in common, right? So I find in Ottawa anyway, like our little market, it's just people seem to be knowledgeable and invested in it. So maybe it's an easy thing to think of when they're thinking of a second career or another job opportunity. They're already dialed in on real estate.
People come well more educated than they ever did.
It's crazy.
Like 11 years ago, starting, like, people didn't know anything. It was all, everything was paper-based anyways, and all in-person meeting, but there was no information out there. Now everything's at the fingertips, and they come, like, well-equipped, knowing what rates are at, knowing what the market's at. Yeah. There's free, there's like, free information. I look, like, I was on, like, that app, Housing. And it's fantastic. I use it just for, like, just on the mortgage side. If you're a mortgage broker listening to this, like, even just for previous sale prices or square footage, interior, exterior, which we need on our side for getting a property to auto value, is imperative. Like, it's an outrageous app. This is not a plug for them, but it is at the same time. But on there, and this is like a free service for people, and like it's a popular site, and so people come so well equipped. Down in the States, the Zillows and all that, they're giving you
reading Reddit forums, like they're dialed in, right? Like, yeah.
Well, people ask us questions like, "Oh, what's the uninsurable this and that," and like they're using like jargon that we're like, okay, they've done research. They're coming to us informed, and we're just using that term again, like sharpening their sort of knowledge where they already have like a really good base. They understand the transaction. They know what they want.
They probably listen to Torah. They probably listen to the pod. Yeah.
I think it's great though, because it means that they're coming well more informed and equipped, so that they're not getting the wool pulled over their eyes of in a transaction, whether it be on the buy or the sell side, on that side of things, and negotiating or listing or knowing what they're going to do ahead of time, or probably makes conversations you guys are having of price changes or what they're going to have to do to the house. It's not as much of a surprise because they're educating themselves. Or on the mortgage side, it's less of a surprise when it's like you don't qualify for that $1 million place. You actually qualify for 400,000 because they have an idea of what they can, because there's tools out there.
Yeah, mortgage calculators are great, right?
They can just like, it's not accurate, like not fully and properly accurate, but it's giving them a range.
Yeah. I find it gives them a really good base, and it makes, I think, all of our jobs a lot easier when you're dealing with educated like clients and individuals that come up to you, even if sometimes they're cold leads off of realtor that don't have agents or aren't being represented beforehand. When they have a good knowledge base, it's a lot easier to navigate those conversations. And a lot of the time, these people aren't completely out to lunch when it comes to like, oh, like I think my house is worth $1 million. Well, yes, it was 2 years ago in the pandemic. Now it's worth 800,000. You saw your neighbor's house sell for 825. So you're not going to call me and ask me to get you $1 million for your house, right? Whereas people that just have not been paying attention to anything at all, are just like, oh, remember my neighbor that sold 3 years ago? Like I want $1 million for my house. And it's like, okay, well, can't really help you,
Talk to the part-time realtor.
It's one around the guy.
List it for you.
Yeah, there's a lot of us around.
But I mean, I think it's like any other type of business. To touch back on the point in terms of, I think it's great that you have a lot more new people coming in, because anybody that's kind of been in the business a while, I think it kind of re-energizes other people.
Yeah.
And you realize now that there's going to be more competition. It gets everybody to level up their skills and their knowledge base to be able to help serve their clients better. And then it's better for the new people as well, because they're like, oh, well, I can learn from some of these people and some of the clauses and things that they've been using in the business for a long period of time that are still relevant today. And obviously some of the things have changed over time, but I think overall it's a massive benefit to everybody. And I think you have good agents and bad agents, just like any other industry where people are going to have more or less knowledge. Whether, sometimes it's harmful, and then sometimes there's a benefit to working with newer people as well.
I think it was interesting, Natalie saying about her dad being in the industry for so long, her taking over the business,
Yeah.
and just him not doing anything technological, everything paper based,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
her coming in. So like, she's talking about new people coming in an industry. It's like, even within the same company or the same team, can breathe like fresh air where you didn't realize something was available, right? Like,
Yeah, we'll see something on like TikTok or like a different type of platform that we wouldn't have normally marketed on. TikTok, or Snapchat, or any of these like I don't know. That's what
what are you doing out there?
yeah, when we heard about Snapchat, it was very sketchy. Now it seems to be like the only place kids send messages. Like they've accustomed. They're like, okay, if my parents don't ever see it, that's much easier. No, but my point is that we've seen realtors and mortgage agents that are in a younger demographic that might be in their early mid-20s, and they're using tools or doing different types of marketing strategies that we would have never thought of. And like you said, it kind of it makes us level up, and it makes us kind of stay sharp and make sure that we're still on top of everything and looking at these new tools. And Greg's really good at using like the latest in AI and all these crazy editing programs, and like he's very on the edge of that. But it's important for us to stay relevant, really, like as technology continues to increase and all these like automation system stuff. Like our job as advisors and as like a mentor to clients basically is like becoming more and more important for us to be knowledgeable. And if they come with knowledge, like we have to also be that next level, so that when they come to us, they're like, okay, there's actually a benefit to working with Luka or Kevin or Paul, Dave, whoever, as opposed to just like, I could just do this myself, right? Like we have to stay sharp so that we're actually giving them good information and are actually knowledgeable, not just what you can Google, right?
Ran completely off topic.
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna go complete.
That's a good way to rant.
I'm gonna end. Wildest story in real estate, and you're coming next, so you can start thinking about it.
Okay.
Wildest story in real estate.
Buyer or seller or somebody you even fired as a client.
Well, okay, I don't know names. One maybe that's I don't know if it's wild. Anyway, it's a recent story in real estate that's, I guess, wild. Actually, okay, no, I'll tell this one because one's a little bit more whatever, a little more anonymous. So we had a listing on Wofford, in beautiful, $1 million neighborhood, and our clients, we were listed over $1 million. This is during the pandemic, so the story's about 2 years old, and it was a flip, so it was fully staged but vacant. And one of our agents was going to do an open house. It was going to be in the new year, so this was listed over Christmas. Greg's favorite time of the year to list, and so we were listed over Christmas. I don't know why Luka's arms look so big in the thing. Mine. I don't know. On the YouTube story for the listeners, Luka's arms look like they're massive. Maybe they are. So it's listed over Christmas, and Matt is doing an open house in early January. So he goes in to the house, and nothing's awry right off the hop. But then he goes upstairs and he notices there's some broken glass. There's broken glass downstairs. He notices some broken glass. There's a broken window. Okay, it's a broken window. Starts assessing the situation. Nothing's missing. All the staging stuff's there. Nothing's messed up. Starts going through rooms. Okay, nothing's missing here. Nothing's missing. Go downstairs. Nothing's weird. Goes upstairs to the primary bedroom. In the bathtub, there's an open bottle of wine. There's a bathrobe, some towels, some of the staging candles. Someone broke in and opened a bottle of wine, had a drink, and had a bath. And lit some candles.
Clean bandits.
They didn't do anything else. Like, they didn't sleep in the beds. It wasn't Goldilocks.
Kevin still got the cuts on his hands.
Yeah, man, it was tough getting in. But yeah, so they broke in extensively, had a New Year's party, just for one, for two, who knows, right? And that was the impact. There was, the bath water was drawn, the wine was opened.
The water was still in the bath?
It was, you could tell someone had bathed in there. There's a little wet around, the cleanup was a little rough. Towels were out, and staging towels, by the way, and the staging candles. They had lit some candles. They had a romantic night for 1, 2, 3, 4. Who knows? Maybe it was like a Liberace party. I have no idea. So that's a pretty wild story. I have to call our clients. There's a broken window. Whatever. I'm sure we can get that fixed pretty easily. But B, there was this, but then aside from that, there was no other consequence. It was obviously an annoyance that we had to deal with the broken window and deal with that. But otherwise, everything was fine.
Now, were the homeowners really angry or confused by it?
Pretty indifferent.
Or did it seem like it was them?
It's funny. Like they had the lockbox code, so maybe it's a bit of a kink. They want to break in. Like, it was down. The call was coming from the inside. We'll pick up the window. No problem. Not a problem. It was all good. But, so that's a pretty wild start.
Got cut. Very weird.
Yeah. So yeah, they were pretty indifferent with the whole thing. I mean, like nothing was nothing was stolen.
Your friends were the perpetrators.
Matt tidied up the wine and put the candles back, and then we washed the towels. And I honestly the window was fixed the window pretty easily. And yeah, it was. It wasn't. We still sold the house a couple weeks later. For what they were happy with, and yeah, it all went well. But yeah,
the new buyers went for a test run.
Yeah,
it's probably a Polaroid put into one of the walls that they'll find in 10 years, just them in the bath with wine.
It's like the end of The Hangover. At the end of The Hangover, all the photos montage, right? Exactly. But yeah, that's one that comes to mind. That's pretty vanilla, I guess. But yeah,
well. There's another one that's clearly.
Oh, there's others. Yeah, there's a recent one. Yeah, but we'll leave it there.
Any for yourself?
Funny, worse. I don't know. I'm just trying to think. So, kind of at the very, very peak of the market, I had met client off of Realtor, looked at a couple of places, and we go into this one place, and the property sold in a day and a half. It was a $300,000 condo town that they completely renovated and flipped. We ended up getting the property. There was 28 offers on it, and the other agent calls me before everything kind of gets done, and is just like, "Oh, you guys are kind of close. Do you guys want to revise your offer or something?" We don't end up revising, and then I get an email 15 minutes later through showing time with an update being property's now been sold firm. The agent that's won's been notified. Thanks everybody for their offers. So I'm like, oh, that sucks. And we were significantly we're 180,000 over asking or something like that. And we barely were even able to get a showing. So they had 28 offers in a day and a half. So there was literally back-to-back showings every for that entire day and a half. And so I call my client. I'm like, hey, sorry, we didn't end up getting the place, blah, blah, blah. And then 30 minutes after that, the agent messages me on Instagram being like, hey, did you get my email? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, you guys won. And I was like,
oh, no,
what? I was like, and I'm like, yo, you.
He's like, yeah, you're 100,000 over everyone.
Well, no, he called me, but he called me before, right, to try to get me to improve our offer. We were already at the top, and then just you didn't have the audacity to call me afterwards to be like, hey, you won, so sends me an email. And then, but I'd already told my client we didn't get the house, right? So then now I'm awkwardly calling her back 30 minutes later, not sure if she's gonna be happy or upset that we got it. You know what I mean? Because it was a firm deal, right? So I ended up calling her back. She ended up being really happy that she ended up getting it because she was basically gonna be homeless, so she needed to get into a place. And turns out there was 2 other agents that I knew that were like $4 to $5 grand below where we were, so we weren't completely off base on our offer. So it ended up turning out pretty well, but it was just a very awkward conversation. I have to call her afterwards being like, hey, so no, how we didn't get that place, we did. And then I ended up posting a thing on Instagram being I beat out 20 other agents, and I got 3 or 4 messages being I hate you, from other agents that also had offered on it and didn't end up getting the property. But that was a pretty crazy one.
It's wild to think that it wasn't that long ago. 180 and 250,000 over asking.
Can you imagine? Now I get a call for feedback. I'm still in the driveway. I just got out of the house. It's how was the showing? It was fine. I'm not acclimated yet. I'm still here. I'm outside.
Tying my shoes.
It's I'll let me get I'll provide prompt feedback when I get.
Tell me you're very desperate without telling me you're very desperate.
So how'd it go?
They're in the driveway scratching.
Tell me how. I still remember too when I was a consumer, as a buyer, we had our young son with us, and we were out with our agent looking at rural properties. That was our dream. We were going to buy a hobby farm. We pivoted before that was a cool word. We pivoted, and we bought in town.
And then you delved into something else.
Number one word. I was trying to use it earlier. So yeah, to delve into this story. So we show up to this house. It's down a winding driveway. It's it's beautiful. We get out of the car, strap in our son, whatever, and then in the window there's a Chucky doll with a knife, and we're like, oh, okay, they're into Halloween stuff. It's certainly creepy. There's a doll with a knife, and I'm like, okay, that's weird. Get in. The seller's there hacking darts. Get our kids with us, 10-month-old, whatever. So hacking darts, whatever. It's Deliverance. You might as well have the banjo out. And she's home. Whatever. We're like, all right, I guess whatever. Secondhand smoke, people did in the 50s, whatever. So we walk around the house, our son, whatever, and we go to the basement, and like it's like a crawl, like it's a basement, but then it gets like progressively smaller. In the back of this basement, the Chucky doll upstairs, right? There's a computer on a desk, and it's like it could not look much like a creepier scene. It's like you wouldn't go like it was like you had to crouch down, and there's a little light, a little lamp beside the thing. Murder room, but with a computer. Like they weren't mining Bitcoin down there. It's just a weird.
No servers.
Also, like I don't know, it didn't correlate with something was up. So the Chucky doll, hacking darts, weird computer. Whip around. Yeah, you couldn't get out of there fast enough. I was like, that was. I think my agent would say like that was probably his number one story. Still, if you asked him his funniest moment, that was probably it.
Casey.
Casey. Yeah, poor Casey. Like it was wild. Like he was like, yeah, he would tell that story for years afterwards.
Did you end up asking the homeowner what was up in the basement, or you just?
No, God, no.
Yeah.
You don't want to know that sort of thing.
We were out of there. It was like
I'd be
Good for us.
yeah.
You don't want to be an accomplice.
We're
You don't wanna be
really,
an accomplice in
we're
that
really
way.
looking for that second bathroom on the main. Like, get there. Like it was like at that point, it was like we were gone by, right? Like it was. If the Chucky doll didn't do it, everything else subsequent was definitely enough. Yeah.
Worse and worse.
Yeah.
Kev's had a couple ideas at different properties that he's interested in.
You gotta stay on your toes.
You gotta,
Sure keeps me on my toes.
I send Dave some creative things, like sure we can make this work, right?
No, Kev, you're freaking out to lunch.
Out to lunch. Okay, cool. Just checking. Dave knows my entire life. Dave basically he's like a vetting point for every business decision I make. So yes.
I think he plays that role for a lot of people. Like,
if we ever die, it's like call Dave. Just call Dave. Like he's got it all figured out.
we
Paper than you have of yourself.
I've asked you before for things. Anyway, can you send me my team?
who you are to Dave and I have at least like a handful of those clients that every year it's like, okay, I know I have only 20 grand, but like I'm hoping to build this multiplex, and like there's this new program that I found that's like from Sweden, but you can do it here, and like they just have these, like they sit on the internet and they come up with these wild plans, and then we have to basically strategically crush their dreams and tell them it's not possible, and spend a day formatting a really nice response.
Let down.
Yeah, we're not even there. You just let me down. It doesn't have to be cancel anymore.
hard-
Just let me
it's the
down.
hard let down.
I like when you let
Pull
me
the
down.
Band-Aid off.
Just give it to me straight.
So Luka is kind of again off topic, but Greg, we were talking about like has super delved
Delve. You were trying not
Deep
to
delve.
Yeah,
deep delved into like AI tech, so on. Like, how have you, both of you, I guess, question for both of you, have you guys seen that since 2020, basically when the pandemic started, everything's accelerated? Like, how have you seen that shift the business on your side of the equation?
Honestly, not as much as I thought it would have. I think because AI is still kind of in the very early stages, but I think like month by month, there's more and more tools that are coming out that we're definitely starting to use. I have friends of mine and colleagues that like almost exclusively use ChatGPT for responding to like all of their emails to most of their clients and stuff like that. So just
emails.
Yeah, for emails. So like, or like even, so I've had some clients put in an offer on a place and it was still like a relatively competitive market. So I got them to write a personalized letter, which actually like really helped at this point. And the listing agent ended up calling me, being like, oh, like the seller was like really touched by your letter and stuff like that. You guys were the best offer anyway, but we probably would have gone with your offer regardless of whether you guys were ahead or not by the 10 grand that we ended up winning by. But my client ended up calling me like a couple months later. He's like, dude, what's hilarious about that is, you actually used like ChatGPT to write like like they put in a prompt of whatever, but they use ChatGPT to write the personalized letter. Wow. That was like one of like the key defining things that ended up getting them the property.
The emotional,
the emotional component, yeah.
Taking the emotion out of the transaction by letting the AI write it for
which I thought was pretty interesting, and like it just depends on the type of market. I kind of tried to use different strategies with offers depending on what type of market it is. But that was kind of a really cool story where like a client was actually like I suggested they do the letter, but they did the letter using AI, and that was kind of one of the differentiating factors.
That one of the most profound things about AI now is that it is almost just indiscernible from like an actual, like the fact that it actually created emotions in the sellers to the point where they chose that.
Yeah.
is what most people said, like, you don't have to worry, like, you know, AI when it first came out was very clunky. There was no motion. It was all like black and white text and like super simple. And now it's like, it's actually evolving to to play on those emotional triggers of people, to script things in a way that actually engages and connects people with the writing. So it's actually like getting smarter and more human-like, I guess you could say. In that sense.
It's still very early stages, right? And there's a lot of different applications and stuff that you can do. Like, you know, we've kind of been working on videos and like being able to chop up certain videos and clips to have them, you know, like what is the most type of viewed content on Instagram? Well, it's Reels, okay? So it needs to be between this timeline needs to have this, okay? It's different we're starting to use TikTok now. So we're kind of starting to use it for that. We're starting to post some more stuff on YouTube. Greg's doing articles on LinkedIn. But if you create one piece of content, you can then use AI to chop up some stuff and have it relevant on different platforms and have it, you know, have that be kind of the primary thing for those different areas.
It's everything you're saying there is it's complementing your business. It's not replacing, like a lot of people in our industry and in most industries think that AI is replacing them. And don't get me wrong, and eventually certainly in some industries, it's going to replace some people. Flat out. No, we're not anywhere near there. However, for energy, it's using tools like this, and tools have always been around. Whether it even just becoming like e-signing documents, like getting used to that, like small DocuSign, like small little. Some of these this is like AI for marketing, is accelerated that aspect, but it's also the people that use it and adopt it well or strategically can just be light years ahead and help their clients even more, and just like be a tool and not a replacement. Like you're using it as a tool of what you're doing to help get your clients out there more on their listing, or like drive more eyes and viewers, which at the end of the day, sole role for you guys is more eyes on a property. It's solely marketing. I mean, you guys like really, it's negotiating and marketing. Like I would say the number one is marketing in every aspect, right? Would you not?
Therapy and then work.
Yeah, therapy. Yeah. To yourself or to the clients? Okay.
Everyone involved.
We're like, maybe I'm a little behind on the AI just generally, but we do use it around the office. Like, for example, for trying to think of like some content ideas, like, you know, what can we talk about? You know, we need to make some relevant real estate content, and we plug it in there. That gives us 10 or 15 videos that it thinks the computer, the robots think is relevant, and we can triage through that and see what resonates with us in an authentic way, and then we sort of make those videos based off that. I know Kelsey uses it for a lot of things on the back end in terms of like, we asked her to make a social media plan. She used AI to help, and we're going to use AI for some digital marketing stuff as well. So again, to the marketing side, it's big for us, but again, we're not necessarily we're not in a copyright industry or some of these industries where it might be even more prevalent, you know, whereas, you know, I know there's a lot it can be used for, but for now we're just kind of scratching the surface, using it to sort of, you know, give us maybe some inspiration ideas and then take it from there.
I actually read I like wine. I have a Wine Spectator like subscription. I read an article like this past weekend. Yes, I like my wine. But I read an article this weekend and they used Delve in the article.
They did?
Yeah, from the and it was the head writer of the
and
Delve was in it. I'm like this is the head writer of this like the entire magazine, and I'm seeing Delve in it. There's no way he's using Delve in his own.
A lead writer might actually use the word Delve. He might be the only person that's qualified to use Delve.
That's like you AI
or treasure trove or whatever other hot words we got.
One thing that we definitely we use AI for is like for like write-ups for like a lot of our listings, is we'll put in key components about the house, and then we'll kind of use that, because sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, like how do I best describe this house? And you're doing like, when you're busy, you're doing like 2 or 3 for it like once when you have a bunch of listings coming up, and you're like, how do I make this sound unique and different? And like I find AI definitely helps a lot with that, because it kind of gives you, well, like you'll kind of put in the base, right, and then it'll shoot out a bunch of stuff for you, and then we can kind of cut certain things out, add certain things in, but it gives you like a really good base that you can kind of add on to. So I think it's a really great tool. I don't think it'll replace our particular industries just because of the human element and component, especially because people are going through the most or the largest financial transaction of most people's lives, and they're getting into something, and you know they want to be able to do that with a human. You know, they might search through online for certain things, but you know, in terms of showing a property and negotiating on their behalf, they're going to want to deal with individuals and have that personality behind it.
I just asked ChatGPT to write me a heartfelt. Sorry, I said I want to buy a house. I'm writing a letter to the sellers to entice them to take my offer. I'm a young father of 3, and this will be our family home. That was it. That was the whole prompt. Here it is. Dear seller's last name, I hope this letter finds you well. My name is Paul, and I'm writing to express my sincere interest in purchasing your beautiful home at 123 Main Street. As a young father of 3, finding the perfect home for my family is not just about the physical space, but about creating a haven filled with love, laughter, and cherished memories. From the moment I walked through the front door, I could feel the warmth and positive energy that your home exudes. The bright and inviting atmosphere, coupled with the thoughtful design elements, resonated with me, and I immediately envisioned my family thriving in this space. The specific feature of house here is particularly appealing and aligns perfectly with our vision of a family-friendly home. As parents to 3 amazing children, names and ages, my wife and I are not just looking for a house, but we're seeking a place where our family can grow, learn, and build a lifetime of memories. And it continues on. Live, love, laugh. Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. That took 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So
I had it right. My buddy Alex Wolf and I were chatting because I live in Carleton Place. We shoot a lot of Hallmark movies out there, and we were in our office one day. We're saying, "Oh, it'd be great. We should write a romantic comedy with 2 realtors. They fall in love, but there's some, they're competing on a problem. I don't know, love ensues. Anyway, we're saying this. We're like, oh man, this is great. We can write this thing. And then as we're talking, Kelsey's typing the prompt in, and boom, it spits out like
script.
a 5-act script of like this romantic comedy. Next thing you know,
that's why the writers are on the strike.
Hallmark's knocking on the door.
Oh fuck! It was an estate sale. It was crazy. Like, they had it detailed. There was like, oh, she's from the city, obviously. She's like, but her license is still relevant in upstate New York, right? So it was the whole thing. But they're gonna fall in love, and
she's got a license to love.
License to love, license to list. This estate sale was in the middle of it, right? There was the old manor, like the Wayne Manor.
That's amazing.
Yeah. We're going to production next week. Yeah, it was that easy. The green light.
There is. I remember what's the place just going out of town on towards Smiths Falls? There's that little bait shop on the right side.
Okay, yeah.
I can't remember what it's called.
Wow.
Master Bait
Service
or something like that.
Yeah.
It's they actually had a Hallmark.
Probably not it.
Yeah.
Master Baits. That's what it's called. It's a fishing shop.
Great advertising.
Yeah.
And they recorded a Hallmark movie there. And I remember driving by and it was like a full production. I'm pretty sure Mel Gibson was on site. It was like a full
I got stuck in Mel Gibson traffic. Actually, we tried to rent a place. They're like, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Gibson's rented it. I was like, is it some $4,000 place? And we had an insurance issue with one of our clients that needed a short-term rental. Mr. Gibson blocked us. I got stuck in Mr. Gibson traffic. And actually, some of our clients that have bought historic homes in Carleton Place, Dave, you know them actually, they've rented out their place for days at a time for Hallmark movies.
That's amazing.
And one of our other clients who owns a commercial building in town and he has a big parking lot in the back, he rents it out for the craft services. So he gets a couple $100 a day for them to do like the catering out there and stuff. So it's a bit of an industry and out my way.
Business. Yeah. Big business in the valley.
Big business in those Hallmark movies. I saw an article the other day. It's like the people of Hallmark, it's revolutionary. They've came up with a second plot line. This is the year they're going to roll out the second plot line, right? So
my parents live for them. Like,
my dad loves
Hallmark Christmas movies. Have you guys seen any? Like,
my dad,
no, I haven't.
My dad loves them. He's addicted. Like he's retired now. He just watches the Rocky movies and that. It's crazy. Like it's nuts.
Rocky and Hallmark.
Oh, he loves Rocky. He's like, yeah, there's a Rocky marathon on. I was like, yeah, Dad, I have Netflix. He's like, yeah, they're playing them all in a row. I'm like, yeah, I can find these, right? Like, but yeah.
We have to be out of here in short order, so I feel like we should probably wrap this up. We've been going for almost 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 2.5. But yes, thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Should I end with some mood boosts? I actually have some lined up here.
Might as well.
Holiday, you can't look at them.
Before as you're pulling those up, I want to test Gertain Poirier, phenomenal lawyers. My wife and I just had a closing recently. We've been referring clients to them for a number of years and with rave reviews, and we just did our first personal closing with them and it went really well. As they mentioned, with the early booking was critical and the communication was great, and all that tech they mentioned is very on the forefront as a seller we were in this case, and everything happened really quick. So yeah, plug out to them. They did a great job. Yeah.
Great job.
You might as well give the other plug, the Foundry.
Foundry, so let's plug it all, right? So we got our Alex and I's movie in escrow is coming out next year on the Hallmark Channel. But no, we've got the Foundry Coffee Bar, Foundry Collective, Cosgrove Real Estate Group. Yeah.
Go. Luka?
Where can we find you, Luka?
Well, if you guys need any help, the Campbell-Maric Group is very happy to assist. And you guys see Greg a lot, but I should be on some more shows with everybody soon. And looking forward to helping everybody next year.
Amazing. and those arms and that hairline, it's insane.
Yeah, very jealous. Yeah, the arms look
Yeah.
jacked.
We are doing more videos now, and Greg.
You open jars.
Furthest away.
Yeah,
I'm the smallest
your
guy
arm-
and furthest away.
Your
I'm
torso is the size of Luca's arm.
melting into the.
Your torso is the size of his arm from the side profile.
Luka will also open any jars for his clients.
Yeah.
That's important, right? If there's any
heavy doors.
Yeah, you got it.
Jars.
Yeah.
We're actually exiting through this wall.
Yeah, just gonna the Kool-Aid man's gonna go right through this wall here. We're just gonna
There's actually just an HGH.
Emergency exit behind us. Okay.
bustle melt.
Hulk smash.
All right, I got four today. I think Kevin's seen them, so I'm gonna hide them. Oh yeah. Oh shit. Okay, hold on. Let me get rid of this. Stop airplane. Okay.
Stop looking at it.
I'll do my best, Greg.
Okay. Number one. These are holiday themed. Where do children who don't learn to tie their shoes end up? On the naughty list.
No naughty list.
Naughty list.
I'm gonna be Greg.
2. How much does it cost to run Santa's sleigh? $8 or $9 if the weather's bad.
Oh wow.
Wow. It's a good one.
How do you know? Number 3. How do you know Santa's good at karate? He's got a black belt. These are for like 3-year-olds. And number 4. Speaking of tech, what would you find on an elf's Instagram account? Lots of elfies.
Wow.
Alfie.
Hey.
I'm even embarrassed to say that one. That was bad. I'm sorry.
Does the outro music get added later? Or?
I think so.
I mean, it's again.
It started 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, shout out to Nick Petruski. He's been here since the beginning of the recording. And anyone else who's been listening throughout, thank you. If you're listening after the fact, thank you. We're sorry. We love you. We're going to release this probably tomorrow. Tomorrow-ish.
3 weeks to
Tomorrow-ish.
get out of you.
But thank you very much for listening this year. We're going to be back early in January. I think we're going to take 2 weeks off, so we'll be back January.
Don't set a date.
January.
Yeah.
We'll be back in January for sure.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, but there'll be a bit of a new look. A couple announcements coming out in the next few weeks, and we'll be excited and ready to rock for 2024. So, David, great year. Greg, if you're still listening, great year. And gentlemen, thanks for coming.
Producer Steven.
A lot of fun. Steve,
Producer Steven.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
always great. I wish can we get a camera, Steven? Give us a little. There he is. He's here. He's a real person. He's not Ant. All right, everyone. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and we'll see you in 2024.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe because we'd really like that.